Welcome back to Cheddar, everyone. PepsiCo is doubling down on its climate priorities, pledging to drastically cut its greenhouse gas emissions. This move comes as more and more consumers make sustainability a priority, something PepsiCo says it's banking on. Hannah Doba spoke with Roberta Barbieri, who is the Vice President of Sustainability at PepsiCo, about how PepsiCo plans to achieve its ambitious climate goals. Take a look.
There's two parts to our new climate goal. It's a doubling of our old goal on climate action. We're committing to reducing our absolute greenhouse gas emissions by more than 40% by 2030, and pledging to get to net zero emissions by 2040. And built within that is a commitment within our own direct operations to be even more aggressive. We're going to cut our own direct operations by 75%. Everywhere else in our value chain, our indirect emissions, 40%. So very excited, really jumping in with both feet here.
How do you plan on doing that, Roberta? And I should say, I've been to your campus, the PepsiCo campus, and it's beautiful. It's brand new. It's state of the art. So why is now the right time to implement these new measures?
No time is more important for action on climate change, Henna. The effects of climate change we see them today. We're experiencing them in the PepsiCo business. They have far-reaching impacts. And frankly, this decade is critical. We have to take bold, committed action in the next 10 years. Or suffer some of the most severe consequences of climate change. So, I want to say three things about our goal. First of all, it's absolute. So that means that no matter how much our company grows, our carbon footprint in 2030 needs to be 40% less than it was in 2015. So that's what we mean by absolute emission reductions. Secondly, it's science-based. So it's been validated by the Science Based Targets Initiative. What that means for the layman, it's another way of saying that this is what it takes for PepsiCo to eliminate our share of the climate change problem. And third, it's aligned to limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees C. Our efforts to get to net zero emissions by 2040 is actually a decade earlier than what's called for in the Paris Climate Agreement.
We certainly like following the science here at Cheddar, Roberta, so thank you for that. What is so impressive about this initiative? You guys are a major company, you're an industry leader. Why is it important to make climate a priority, especially when it comes to your business decisions moving forward?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I mentioned earlier, we're seeing the effects of climate change already in our business. Couple of examples for you. We grow a lot of potatoes, as you can imagine, for our Frito-Lay business, Lay's potato chips all around the world. We work with over 40,000 farmers around the world. And agriculture is, while at the same time a significant contributor of greenhouse gas emissions from our ag supply chain account for about a third of our total carbon footprint, agriculture is also a critical solution to climate change. And by that I mean improving the soil of our farmers' fields helps the soil absorb carbon. So healthy soil absorbs carbon, which pulls carbon out of the atmosphere. Carbon sequestration, really important. One of the ways that we're actually seeing the impacts of climate change on our business today is in the ag supply chain. We actually have to develop and deploy for our farmers new varieties of potatoes for the likes of Lay's potato chips that are more drought tolerant because of changing precipitation patterns. Our potato varieties need to have longer root systems. So their root systems are longer, they drill down into the soil deeper and get access to more water by going deep. So one very kind of technical and interesting way that we're trying to adapt to the existing consequences of climate change.
I don't think people realize just how much goes into that. I'm so glad you explained that, Roberta. Thank you so much. So let's talk about the consumer. What changes will they see because of this initiative, if any?
So consumers, I'll give you a couple of examples, Henna. Consumers will see more recycled content in our packaging. The reason that that's a climate action is because the more recycled content in, say, a plastic bottle, the lower the carbon footprint of the bottle, the less emissions associated with manufacturing that bottle. So consumers will see more recycled content. We're steadily increasing our use of recycled PET in products like Life Water, the Tazo brand, Naked Juice. Naked Juice packed in 100% rPET in North America right now. In Europe, 9 countries are going to be using 100% rPET in the Pepsi brand by 2022, just next year. So lots more recycled content. Another thing they'll see is more reuse models like our SodaStream business, which is a beautiful business. It's an example of a circular model for packaging. And we're expecting that as SodaStream grows, it's going to avoid an estimated 67 billion single-use plastic bottles through 2025.
Wow.
Single-use bottles have a higher carbon footprint than a
Sure.
reuse bottle.